Between now and September 21st, the US DARPA is open for proposals for so-called next-generation microelectronics manufacturing. The next major wave in microelectronics and photonics manufacturing is hard. It will require the heterogeneous integration of disparate materials and components enabled by advanced packaging that leverages all three dimensions. This explains why DARPA is creating a novel US-based Center for R&D and Manufacturing for three-dimensional heterogeneous integrated microsystems. At our recent successful Optica online industry meeting on packaging, DARPA's Gordon Killer explained this latest call to action. Here is part of the conversation.
We have a number of programs in optical microsystems, which is all about packaging things very small, very accurately. And we do a lot of work on sort of wafer scale photonics, but ultimately you need to put a lot more in the package. Just a reminder, DARPA is a US government agency that's really charged with doing a lot of development of innovation. But I'm going to talk just about integrated photonics and optical microsystems. I think today we're going to hear a whole lot about co-packaged optics, and there's obviously other things that are coming on board in terms of digital compute, but there's also concepts like optical accelerators where we might be able to put photonics in the package and maybe not use fibers at all. That would be very exciting and maybe drive volumes much higher than they are today. Another direction we're going is what I kind of call optical front end. This is using photonics for things like ranging, like LiDAR, imaging, using it for laser comm and free space optical communications, obviously fiber comm as well, optical displays, and AR, VR. And optical packaging here actually has a lot of similarities with some of the other stuff happening in compute. Third quadrant that I show you here is microsensors. At DARPA, we in particular have a lot of work going on in the areas of positioning and navigation and timing. So very sort of small chip scale clocks, magnetometers, gyros, accelerometers, and also doing chem and biosensing. And while we might be worried about very precise sensors, a lot of the reduction in size is very applicable to wearables, which is another huge market for photonics that I think is going to be exploding pretty soon. And then finally, I lump a lot of things here into this emerging compute, where we're doing things in analog domain, signal processing, microwave generation, and a lot of quantum systems, quantum information processing, and quantum sensors. I thought I would, without digging real deep into this, just kind of give you a highlight of my day. I get to work on many different programs with a huge number of fantastic technical groups, many of which I actually saw online today. The PIPES program is one of our big investments in essentially co-packaged optics. I could talk your ear off about this, but we're seeing a lot of the same challenges here, looking at 2.5D and 3D electronic photonic packaging, fiber attach, high quality laser development, comb lasers. The CHIPS program is a 2.5 and 3D integration program helping to drive chiplets, which may be digital, maybe RF, maybe optical as well. The LUMOS program is about bringing different photonics together, and this is essentially enabling the world of heterogeneous photonics. And I could talk about this quite a bit. We are seeing teams doing microtransfer printing, doing heterogeneous laser integration, hybrid laser integration. Maybe the most important or interesting that's, I think, going to change the industry is heteroepitaxy. And I noticed we've got some folks from SUNY and AIM Photonics here, and they've been working with some of their partners, growing 3.5 quantum dot lasers on 300 millimeter silicon and integrating thousands of devices per reticle in a full CMOS fab. And that's really exciting. It gets rid of some of the packaging challenges, actually. MOAB is a LiDAR program, chip scale phased arrays for non-mechanical beam steering. Griffin is about RF, very, very quiet microwave oscillators based on photonics. Again, an application where you might have photonics inside the package with no fibers to or from. And photonics is an enabler, which goes beyond what you can do today. And then DODOS, which is about optical frequency synthesizers on a chip. It really pushes combs. So I think the last slide, I wanted to, without pointing out any one particular team or technology, just kind of give you a sense of the different types of packaging that we're seeing. Under pipes, there's a lot of co-packaged optics where, again, there's 2.5 and 3D microelectronic integration. Power is a very big driver here. We're going to 1 picojoule per bit, including all the electronics, which means you have to push it very close to the electronics. Many, many fibers. In some cases, we've seen teams that have 15,000 bumps per pick. Teams that have more than 100 fibers attached to a single chiplet. We're seeing integration, 3D integration with digital, analog, and photonics all together in the same package. Again, I mentioned all the different ways people are attaching lasers, modulators, and so on to different materials. This might be silicon, silicon nitride, thin film lithium niobate. MOAB program is a kind of a nice shot of a full reticle size pick that has, in fact, many tens of thousands of components on it. It has many different ASICs attached to it, which again, there's thousands of bumps per ASIC. And then light comes off of this chip and steers in free space in 2 dimensions to do FMCW LiDAR. Griffin, we're seeing a lot of work with stabilized microcavities for ultra narrow line width. In particular, some results that are getting us lasers that are sub-hertz line width using semiconductor lasers. And then finally, DODOS is kind of a tour de force in complexity where there's tunable lasers, narrow line width lasers that are pumping silica wedge resonators, silicon nitride resonators, nonlinear photonics to do frequency conversion, and then high-speed electronics all in the same package. So essentially, I guess what I'd like to say is there's a whole lot of photonics packaging that needs to come about to enable all of this. And so we at DARPA have a new initiative. This was just announced a couple of weeks ago, and it is called Ngmm, Next Generation Microelectronics Manufacturing. This is a solicitation to the community. All of you folks should have a look if you think you can weigh in. And we are looking for innovation in advanced packaging. We have investment money set aside to do this. We don't have as specific goals as sometimes we do because we're trying to do a phase 0 and get a roundtable going where there are a number of voices that are willing to weigh in. What we'd like to do is help to stand up a national facility to do early prototyping and bring some of these needs together. How do you do 3D fine pitch packaging? How do you bring photonics and MEMS and RF to this? And how do you develop some of the new packaging technologies to do prototyping? Anyway, Ngmm, it is out there. I think the proposals are due on September 21st.
Is there room for companies outside United States, and how you can help me connect the industry globally?
It becomes always a bit of a delicate balance because DARPA is funded through the US, through tax dollars. And so it tends to be a preference to build up capability domestically. However, everybody acknowledges that it's a global marketplace and global innovation is important to embrace and to pursue.